Okay, so here we go. So building your list of schools. So this is different from your normal list of schools that you should have as you're going through the process. So like I always like to say 10 to 15 schools on your list at all times. You lose one here or there, you gain one here or there. But this is more about building your list of schools of who you're going to communicate with for a specific event, right? So most events put out some sort of list of schools a couple weeks beforehand. They're same thing with PDT. So there's lists of decent schools. They put their women's and men's list together. So you kind of have to make sure you're differentiating men's and women's when you're going through that list. So when you're going through your list of schools, you still be looking at some of the things that you are normally obviously looking for when you're picking a school. So distance from home, size of school, the level of play, the financial piece, all the factors that you have when you build your regular list should also be going into who you're going to communicate. You don't want to send 10 emails out to schools where you really don't know nothing about them, right? So you want to do a little bit of research. Do they have what you want to study? Things like that. So go to the list, do a little search. You can Google search, however you need to do it to get onto their athletics page, and then go from there. So look into the school, make sure that they're have the things you're looking for in that school, and then that's how you can add them to your list. Find 8 to 10 schools that fit your profile. So 10 to 15 schools you should have at all times, and then these are 8 to 10 schools that you're going to communicate with about this particular event. Now, out of those 8 to 10 schools, maybe a few get added to your list, right? So, but sending out 8 to 10 emails is a healthy number. If you think about if every player sends that same amount of number of emails, when it's all said and done, hopefully, there's a good 20, 30 coaches coming to your guys' games because everybody's sharing. This says log into your Sports Recruits account. Sports Recruits is something that we're going to be looking to bring on into the platform next year, but it's a popular one out there. But when you're shooting off your emails, if you don't have a platform like Sports Recruits, just shoot out your email through your regular Gmail, right? So preparing to send the email, what does it look like? What type of email? What wording do you need? So when you go to look at the email, you want to make it short and sweet, right? So clean, right? So coaches, my name is Albert Martin. I'm a 2024 left back, and I play for Arsenal FC Premier. So right off the bat, they have my name, they have my grad year, they have my position and my team, all in the very first sentence, right? Below is my playing schedule for the American Cup. That's what event I'm playing for in this particular weekend. I hope you can find the time to watch me play. You will also find a link to my full player profile below. Take care. So again, if that's Sports Recruits, you have a player profile. If you have a personal resume or a profile that you did make up, you can always attach it to this type of email. But as you can see, it'll take them, 10, 15, 20 seconds to read this email. And if you could just imagine the hundreds of emails that they have before an event, right? So they can get through this one really quick. And then now they're able to add you to their list. So this is Wednesday. I always like to, if we were to have more time prior to going to an event, I like to shoot them anytime I'm knowing I'm going to an event. So let's just say a month ago, 2 months ago, we said, all right, we're going to this event. Shoot an email out to the coaches. And then today's Wednesday. So tomorrow or Friday, shooting an email with the schedule to them. Now your email is going to be at the top of their inbox, which is where you want to be, right? So be sure to have somebody proofread. Yeah, question? All right, sorry. If you could, can you just go through your screens and make sure you're muted so that it doesn't get confusing on who's talking? All right, so be sure to have somebody proofread before, so you can send the email over to me, have a parent look at it, but make sure it's cleanly written. If you're going to copy and paste, that's okay, but I would not include any specific school information in your email. So for example, if you're going through my email example above and you say something along the lines of, I really like what Stanford University has to offer from an academic perspective, you've now put that name of the university in there. So if you're going to copy and paste, you got to remember to change that to be specific. My opinion, when you're doing these simple emails where you're just basically trying to get them your schedule, that's not one where you add or you need to add any specific information, including the school name. So once you sent out those emails, hopefully what's going to happen is you're going to get some schools coming to your showcase, right? Coming to your game. So how do you stand out? If you arrive at the fields and you see there's whatever 20-something fields and thousands of players, what are you going to do during that time that's going to set you apart from the others? Or how can you make a good first impression? Remember that the whole term of first impression means they might be seeing you for the very first time, and what are they going to think about you when they don't know actually who you are? They're going to read your body language and things like that. So you need to be yourself. Don't try to, be the popular one in the crowd if that's not who you are, right? Don't try to be someone that you're not. Just be yourself. First impressions are important. Don't try to make yourself more than who you are. They're always watching on the field, off the field, during the game. If you're wearing Chicago Edge garb and you're at a restaurant and you're making a ruckus in the restaurant, you'd be surprised at the people that are at the restaurants. Maybe there's some coaches there, right? Elevators or stuff in the hotel, running around the hotel, things like that. Those are always times where you just need to be careful, right? Because you never know who's watching, especially nowadays with phones and videos and all that stuff. It could be very beneficial, but it also can be very detrimental. So coaches are always watching you. So just be on your best behavior when you're at these types of events. How are you warming up? So this is a good example. Like they want to know, and they're trying to get to know who you are, right? Are you just going through the motions during your warm up? Are you getting everybody pumped up for the game and really getting after it for your warm up? They may watch you play for one half and you may only touch the ball a few times, but maybe during that, 35, 40 minute warm up, they saw you play on a small sided game or finishing or whatever. So if you go through that warm up with just a ho-hum attitude, then you're not really necessarily giving them the full evaluation of who you are, right? This is especially good for goalkeepers. A lot of times you'll see the coaches show up early so they can watch the warm-up of the goalkeeper. So warming up is very important. How do you react to your teammates and your coaches? When your coaches is talking to you during the game, are you paying attention? At halftime, are you messing with your socks and your shin guards and that, or are you paying attention to what he's talking to you on the board? Right? How do you react with your teammates when they're talking to you or when they've done something, right? So these are all things that you want to be a good teammate. Are you a coachable person? These are all things they're looking at and how you can make that impression as they're going through the game. What are you doing when you don't have the ball? This is a big one. Are you putting yourself into position to where, if reading the game, putting yourself into position to where if 3 steps from now, are you in the right position to make something happen, right? So movement off the ball is very important. Again, when you send highlights to coaches, it's all about things that you're doing good, and most of the time it's things that you're when you're on the ball, right? Whether it be offensive attacking or defensive defending the ball, right? So when you're not in the game, when you're not in the at where the ball is, what are your movements? What are your body language? What's your communication like? Things like that. They want to know the full picture, not just those fancy highlights. How do you react when you make a mistake? This is a big one, right? Do you throw your hands up in the air and pout about it? Do you, if you lose the ball, do you turn around? Are you the first one to go after the ball as soon as it happens? Do you signify to your teammates, my bad or my fault, sorry, those types of gestures? Just something to acknowledge the fact that, what, I just messed up, but that's okay. I'm going to do something better the next time. Everybody's going to make mistakes. How do you react when you make those mistakes? Someone tries to cheer you up and they put their hand on your shoulder, you slap the hand away, right? Because you're aggravated, you're mad. Those are all things that they're looking at. How are you reacting? How do you react when a teammate makes a mistake? Are you getting all over them? Are you yelling at them? Are you constantly belittling them, right? This is not something that a coach wants to see, right? There's nothing wrong with picking a player up. There's nothing wrong with being stern maybe with picking a player up, but it's not anything that's going to be, detrimental to the relationship or the things that are going on during the game. So how do you react when those, are you the first one to run over to them and pat them on the back when they make a mistake, right? To encourage them, hey, next time you got this. So not only when you make mistakes, but also when another person makes mistakes. Your body language is hugely important. I always talk about body language because the reality is like I said at the beginning of the list, they may not know who you are, right? So your body language is going to tell them, excuse me, some of the characteristics that you might have as a person. They're going to be able to tell a leader. They're going to be able to tell someone that is calm, content, right? All these things are just from people reading, the coaches reading what's going on when it's happening. So the whole time, body language is really important. I tell my son every time we get out of the car, body language, body language, body language, because it goes a long way. This is for parents. Any parents listening? There have been more than one case where a coach talks to me about parents, and not in a good way. So they pay attention to the parents' side of the sideline as well. There have definitely been situations where someone doesn't get an opportunity from a player perspective because of how the parents were acting or how the parents were involved in that recruiting process. So coaches want to know about family structure. They want to know about all those things. And so being professional, even as a parent, is also very important to these coaches. Sorry. I pushed the wrong button. Okay, so then now you're going through the event. You had a good event. You know, you felt like you did a good job. You know, maybe you've had a lower division school come up to you and just say some nice things about you. Well, now what do? How do you communicate after the event? My opinion is you give it a couple days, right? Again, let's talk about strategy here. If you think about the kid that's like, hey, let's send a message right away. And that way the coach thinks that I'm really interested. But the coaches also have to debrief. You know, maybe the coaches, after 4 days of the event, they're going to go to their hotel with their family and debrief, decompress for a couple of days, right? So those emails that you're sending them, maybe they don't even get to it at that point. Coaches love to get back home after an event, all come together, compare their notes, put names up on the board and things like that. So there's some work that they need to do after an event, right? So I say give it a couple of days, let things settle down a little bit, let those other players that are sending those things right away do their thing. But again, a couple of days later, where things have settled down, now you shoot over an email, and hopefully, again, you're in that top third of the email box. Sending a follow-up email thanking the coaches for coming out and watching you play. Like, this is important. Like, again, thousands of players, lots of emails. They can't get to everybody. But did they come to you because you were a good communicator and sent them some emails, or maybe multiple players from one team sent the same coach an email? So you have to make sure that you're thanking them. They put a lot of time and effort into it. I was just a part of an event down in Florida, and the team that I was representing at that event had an 8 p.m. game time, and the game started at 8 a.m. that day. And there were 7 or 8 coaches that stayed all the way for that 8 p.m. game. We made sure that we put on social media who those coaches were. We made sure that the players that were talking to those coaches sent thank yous, because that's commitment on their part, right? They need to understand that we're thankful for the effort that they're putting in heading off to these events. So this is an example, again, short and sweet, right? Coaches, thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming out and watching me play this weekend. If you have any time, I would love to hear your thoughts on how I played. I would also be interested in any ID camp information that, if you believe I would be a good fit for your program. Looking forward to hearing from you. So you're not saying, hey, can you give me some feedback? You're saying, hey, if you have some time, because I know you're busy, I would love to hear what you have to say. Right. So you're kind of presenting it to them in a different manner, right? Kind of putting the ball in their court. Hey, if you have some time, if you were able to see me play, I would love to hear what you have to say. Kind of engaging, starting that line of communication. I always love finishing an email or something like that with like looking forward to hearing from you, or looking forward to your response, something along those lines, where it's kind of saying, hey, I'm going to be sitting here waiting for you, waiting for your answer, right? So just giving them, again, short and sweet, 2 or 3 sentences so that they can get through it pretty quickly. Understand that you might not get, sorry, a couple of people in the waiting room again. Understand you might not get responses. That's okay. Depending on the division of the school, right? Division 1, Division 2, and you're a sophomore, they can't communicate directly to you right away. They can give you some camp information, but maybe there's some restrictions, right? So there's reasons why coaches don't talk. Like I learned a long time ago going through the process to not get aggravated with the lack of communication from a coach, because it's not that they aren't interested, it's just that they're busy. You know, if you think about a normal workday, their normal workday doesn't just consist of sit out at the computer and respond to emails to recruits, right? They have a job that they have to do on a day-to-day basis. Part of that is communicating, but at the same time, there's days that get away from them, just like there's days that get away from us. So if you don't hear from them, that's okay. I always love to shoot a follow-up 7 to 10 days later. Again, just something simple. Hey, just want to double back on the email that I sent to you a little bit ago about the college showcase. You know, hope you can find a few minutes to communicate, something along those lines, right? So just checking in with them. And then if it still doesn't happen, just continue to be that good communicator. I like to say, building the relationship. Maybe in the next time you have a game coming up, or another event, or let's say you get some video from this event, you create your highlights, and that's just another way for you to reach back out, right? So you send the initial email, don't hear anything. Send the reply, the secondary email, still don't hear anything. Send a third one with highlights, boom, all of a sudden they open your email and look at your highlights, right? So I like to say, don't be a pest, but be persistent. So I talked a little bit about this just a couple of minutes ago. So remember that there are some restrictions, Division 1, Division 2, from an NCAA perspective about what they can say, when they can say, things like that. So ultimately, the target is June 15th of your after your sophomore year is kind of when that communication starts to open up, right? So it is very common for a response from a coach to say something along the lines of, due to NCAA regulations, I can't talk to you, but here's our camp information, right? So that's okay, but some of them take the easy way out. And I like to try to inform players to build a relationship with them. This is why I like, however, the club's going to pass out the profiles. Gavin, maybe you have some more on this, Tony. Getting a list of the schools that attend the event, so that we know, hey, so-and-so school was here. If you're getting camp invites from this particular school, it's because they saw you play. So it's important, even as parents, if the parents can, see a coach that sits down next to them, and you can figure out who they are, just write down the school, and everybody come up with a list at the end of the event, and that way, sending those emails out, you can cross-reference and send the emails out. It's really cool if you're organized and like whatever, Carroll University attended the game on Saturday, and that was one of the schools on your list. And it's like, hey, Coach Smith, noticed you were at our game on Saturday. Thanks for coming out. So you're being a little bit more specific, acknowledging when they were there, and following up with that email. It just shows that you're a little bit organized, and you're understanding, and you're appreciative that they came to your school. If you wanted to, with any of these, pre-event, post-event, shoot it over to me. I'd be happy to look at it and help you. Also, if you receive emails from a school after an event, if you wanted to shoot that to me and say, hey, Albert, what does this look like to you? Is this a sincere offer, or is this something that just looks like a blasted email? Those are things that I can differentiate just by going through hundreds of them over the years.
Albert, just quickly, where you said on that last slide about the D1 and D2, so if it's D3 schools that are there, do they have any rules in that sense of when they can talk to you, or are they pretty much they can talk to you?
Yeah, so D3 is different. They can talk to you anytime. So if you walk
That's
up, if a coach walks up to you during the event, I always like to say, let the coach be the one to follow the rules, right? We're not necessarily going to be the ones that know every single rule. It's very complicating at times with the types of communication and when you can communicate, how many times you can communicate, all those types of things. So by all means, if a coach walks up to you and says, "Hey, I'm Coach Smith from, blah, blah," just understand that he knows what the rules are and go ahead and have that conversation with them, right? They're not going to risk losing you as a recruit by breaking those rules. So looking at the PDT event, this is a very good event for a Chicago Edge club where the schools that are attending the university or the showcase fit exactly what the level of play that we're playing at. So you very well could have some of those schools approaching you or and such based off of the different divisions. Division 3 NAIA are the ones that have less restrictions. Have any other questions? I actually went through that pretty darn fast, only 25 minutes.
Dina just asked, where can we find the list of coaches? Dina, let me put here, if you go to the actual tournament website, they have a specific page for that.
Yeah, I think if you go on the More tab.
Yeah, I think I'm just, what is that specific website? I think it's www.scdelsol. Hold on. Let me just confirm. I'm just going to flick over to that page quickly and make sure I'm typing in the right scdelsolpdt.com. Okay, hold on. Heading back. I'll type it in the chat so you guys can see it. scdelsolpdt.com. Okay, so I just put the website of the tournament on the chat, and then like Albert just said, it's normally in something like where they have I think it's more information, and then it'll bring up a whole list of things, of which one of them should be college stuff. Why is that? It's kind of down.
Let me try and screen share again, and I'll show you a Google how to easily find you guys see my screen again?
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you're looking for schools, if you just go and do a simple Google search, I always like to put in the university, and so let's just say Wisconsin athletics. So I always just go to the athletics page because as you see a bunch of stuff pops up. Football is a very popular one, but I always just like to do the Wisconsin athletics. And there's two ways you can get about it, right? So you can go to the sports and go directly to who we're looking for, or you can go into the main where you can just look at the directory. So if you simply go here, and let's just say men's soccer. And then typically if you go under roster or coaches, right? So then you just go coaches. And then here's the contact information. So that's a pretty simple way you'll find a way you can get through it. The other one is just going through the directory. So here, and then somewhere in here, you'll probably find.
I think she was also asking specifically the list for this tournament.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you look at that list, then let's just say they list the coach's name and the school. You can go through and how to find that. So then here's the staff directory, and then obviously just scroll down to soccer, and you have it. So those are two ways. I always like to add more than one coach. Sometimes a different coach on a certain staff has a territory that they take care of. So I always like to add, obviously, the head coach, and then an assistant coach, or if there's three coaches, just CC everybody on it, because you never know who's taking care of that. So that's an easy way to communicate before that. Any others? All right, so I'm wrapping up on some of the player profile sheets that we'll be having for this weekend, and I'll send those over to Gavin and Tony. So it'll be nice to just be able to hand out to those coaches to the event. And then, like I said, Gavin, are you going to or no?
No, it's Coach Tony and Coach Des will be there. So
Yeah.
I'll work with them and make sure whoever is handing those sheets out, I'll try and get them to make a list of who they hand them to as well.
Okay, great. That's awesome. So anybody else have any questions?
That's not true.
I had a question.
Yep, go for it.
We signed up late for this, and so Paul and my son aren't gonna be with the boys at their hotel. So I just wanted to make sure, just put a shout out, if there's anything that the boys are getting together to do together, or anything that it's maybe discussed at a game or something, or Ian has the boys' numbers too, as well as Paul. If there's just good communication, that would be great. And thank you for this. I really needed to hear all this.
You're welcome. So Gavin, just it sounds like some sort of itinerary or schedule list of meetings or something like that she's talking about.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions about the presentation as well? All right, we will put this up like we did the other discussions somewhere up on the website. I think we have them, so I'll turn it into a link and we can put it up there. As always, feel free to reach out if something comes up, have any questions regarding the recruiting process. I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, and actually, Tony just texted me to say that everyone should have the link for the college coaches. I believe he's sent it out, and then also there are group chats for all the teams. All
For each team. Each team has its own group chat.
There you go.
Can you make sure I'm on it, that we're on it, the Martinellos, because I don't know anything about this.
Well, talk to Ian.
Thank you, I will.
Anything that goes out to the boys, I should say, all the contact goes through the boys. I did send a couple emails out last night with some, I think Gavin sent them out again today. So you should have gotten a lot of the tournament stuff. The boys get the more specific stuff.
Thank you so much, Tony.
You're welcome.
Just strong arm them, put them in a headlock. Okay, great. Tony, guys, have a great trip. Feel free to reach out if you have anything, and make sure you bring some of that Arizona sun back.
Definitely going to try. We'll bottle it up.
All right. Take care,
All
guys.
right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Albert. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great trip.